welcome to episode 83, Checkpoint Chat.
Hello.
Hello.
I like that our technical issues today were that you didn't plug the cable in.
I'd rather have technical issues that are attributed to me being a dumbass
than actual tech issues. I agree. And it only took us not even 2 minutes to fix, so we good?
Yeah, it's just like, why is this not working? Oh, wait. Look at that cable. It's just chilling there.
You're like, my gain's so high, but the volume's not coming through. And then we played back. It sounds like we're in a submarine. It's clearly coming through your laptop
that sound is so weird. I wish I knew. It must be the I think you're right, the laptop mic.
Sounds like we're in a box, basically.
When is it?
Checkpoint Chat.
You know what it sounds like? Those older like World War II videos?
No.
Yeah, like that.
Propaganda. Uncle Sam wants you. Well, I wonder if that even
Uncle Sam wants you.
Yeah,
but I'm messing around with gains and stuff here because
the soundboard is as consistent as...
It is haunted.
Insert metaphor now somewhere. I don't know. Couldn't think of one fast enough.
It's actually an object of power from Control.
Object of power, yes. You have to...
no, wait. Not an object of power. It's an altered item.
Altered item, sorry.
Altered item, yeah.
So you have to be nice to it. Else it's like, no, the world's going to end. Okay,
that's Matty, by the way.
Yes, I didn't introduce myself. I don't think any of us. I'm Matty. That's Alessandro. This is Checkpoint Chat. We talk shit.
Speaking of altered items, there was a Verge article this week where they were talking about something at CS. I think it was like a Jigglypuff Bluetooth speaker.
Yes.
And the way it was displayed, like it was just on this pedestal in this like empty room. And I think it was one of the editors, Dieter. He was like, "I've just played Control. I know what this is." And I was like, "Oh my god, you're so right." It looks like one of those altered items that is just stored away. It just looks so...
Did they have someone watching it, maintaining contact at all times?
Making sure it doesn't evolve.
Doesn't change. When you look away, it says,
that fridge thing in Control.
What happened to that poor god?
One of the best missions in that game. I felt so bad for that poor dude.
What is the catch? He couldn't blink, or he could blink, he just couldn't look. No, he couldn't blink.
No, he couldn't.
Yeah.
As soon as the fridge isn't being observed, it does something.
But then surely he could close 1 eye at a time.
That's what I thought. So when I was there thinking about it, like running around, I was literally like blinking with one eye to see if I could do it.
If you could see Jesse's face, she was probably doing the same thing, saying like, "This guy's a moron. You can just close 1 eye at a time, just wink."
Maybe he was doing that, but maybe like he was there for like 24 hours.
Yeah, he was just exhausted.
So he's just like...
Because I did think about it, and keeping your eyes open for 24 hours, they'll fall out.
Yeah, not possible.
Yeah.
So he must have been doing something. I just like how like nonchalant that guy is. It's like, oh fuck, we forgot him on shift. It's like, of course you did.
You asshole.
Jesus. Yeah, no, that game. What's interesting about that part is it kind of ties in to one of my favorite things about Outer Wilds, which is this idea of quantum observation, where it's like when you're not observing something, it can exist in an infinite number of states.
Oh boy.
And that's sort of how that fridge works. So in Outer Wilds, they teach that to you at the beginning. Like there's this room where there's 3 pedestals and there's a rock. And every time you look away from the rock, it moves.
Oh.
Because by principle, it could exist on either 3 of those pedestals at any time. It's only when you're looking at it that it exists in one of those spaces.
Wow.
So then there's a planet, I think it might be the same planet, Timber Hearth, where you're like on like the small cliff face and you're like surrounded by trees.
Damn.
And if you spin around, when you look back at the same spot, the trees are completely aligned differently. And... understanding that principle comes into play in Outer Wilds. It's very cool.
Oh boy.
It's very
it's
cool.
Gonna stoke my grey matter.
That was the entire principle behind what Outer Wilds was built upon, and they used it in such a clever way.
So you basically learn quantum physics.
Yeah.
You can be a scientist, win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. When you realize how the universe, that entire universe is kind of held to that rule, it is like... Your mind is like, oh, this all makes fucking sense.
This explains why you couldn't get out of bed for a month.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this game? It's so good. What's happening to me? I still need to get to it.
I think you'll dig it a lot.
I have a backlog so big. Like every other gamer.
And what did you play most this week? CSGO?
No, I played one evening of Cisco. I finished Fallen Order. It's a good time.
Let's actually get to that. This is Checkpoint Chat.
Yo.
Talk about video games.
Straight into Checkpoint Chat.
You finished...
I finished Fallen Order.
Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order.
Star Wars Jedi,
What lightsaber color did you
Obi-Wan
choose for your final fight?
Yellow, of course. Yellow's the best.
It looks the best as well.
So
it looks good.
We're just going to tag. This is a bit of a spoilery discussion because we've both finished the game now.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about the end.
If you have intention of playing the game yourself, I would advise skipping ahead.
I'll put it in the episode notes where we end time-wise.
Cool.
Yeah, so
well,
if
there you go.
Look, to it.
Pause what you're doing, look at the episode notes now and be like, yes, I'm going to skip ahead to that number. But sure, what a game. I really enjoyed it. It was a pretty damn solid Star Wars story.
Yeah, pretty good.
And it makes me happy that it exists in the very same lore that we know. It's not some spin-off.
It's canon,
it's actual canon.
Yeah.
Which is, so I don't know, where do we begin? You summarize the game. You play as Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis.
Padawan who survived Order 66, been living undercover essentially, but he ends up saving one of his pals by using the Force.
Saving him for like 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes. By using the Force, and then he comes into the radar of the Inquisitors.
Yeah,
the Spanish Inquisition. No one expects that.
The Sith Inquisition, yes.
I can't even put those words together.
Which shouldn't be surprising if you've watched something like Star Wars Rebels, because the Inquisitors are there. They're like the main bad guys there.
This is all new to me.
They you only see 2 Inquisitors. There's many more. But yeah, they all have a stupid lightsaber. The one with the ring, I think it's really dumb.
There's one has a ring lightsaber.
Yeah, you saw what was her name? The second ninth sister, the main. Whatever
good
sister.
Lord.
All their lightsabers have like a ring.
Oh, it's like a ring.
So it can turn into like a double.
It's a wrist guard.
Or a single one. So the first time I saw that in Rebels, the guy ignites both, and then he gets that column to spin, and I was just like, "This is the dumbest thing ever." So,
okay, when you said ring, I thought like.
Ring. Like ring on their finger.
Have you seen Spaceballs?
Yes.
No, I thought you meant like that. Because
definitely not.
Like, that is ridiculous that exists in Star Wars. What is her name now? I've gone blank. I'm so bad with names. But yeah, fast forward some time. Cal
gets friends Sierra and what's the gambling aliens
Greasy Money. Grease.
I just know him as Gambling Alien who likes
Gambling
plants.
Alien with a big head. There's one cutscene where he was next to Carl. I was like, holy shit, has his head always been that big, or is this just some weird camera proportion thing that isn't working properly?
Yeah, he's got a big head and he likes space plants.
Yes, he loves space plants.
So you're on their ship just going around?
Yeah, but the basic premise of the game is that there's a Jedi Master who basically sets you on a path to find a list of Force-sensitive children or younglings, whatever you want to call them. And obviously because Order 66 absolutely decimated the Jedi. The Jedi. This is your hope of restoring it. You can find Force-sensitive people and restore the Jedi Order to what it was.
Just protect them from, I guess the Empire just wants to kill them as well.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, that too. So the Jedi's name's Cordova.
Yeah, Inno Cordova, yeah.
And you basically travel to a whole lot of Jedi temples on different planets, piecing together clues. You're looking for a specific item.
The holocron.
The holocron.
Yeah, the holocron.
But you get to visit Wookiee planet, Kashyyyk.
Yeah, you get to visit Dathomir, which is where Darth Maul came from.
I almost expected a Darth Maul.
Yeah, okay. So the thing is, it depends where this takes place, because he is alive.
He's technically alive.
He is alive in Rebels.
Sure.
So it would have been cool if he was there. What is the other planet? Zephyr? I've never heard of that one aside from
Zephyr, and then there's the actual Star Wars planet, the actual Jedi planet where they took people to train. That I can't remember the name. That's that Ours planet.
The first one.
No, that's later on, where you actually go.
Okay, but then we're missing a planet, because there's the one you start on.
There's the first one, that
I don't know what that one's called. Bagomir or something like that.
Yeah, Bogano. That's
Bogano, yeah.
Bogano.
Yeah.
Bogano, but no. But
Zephyr, which is your favorite? I like Zephyr a lot.
Zephyr, the one... Zephyr's the one where it's like a mix of everything. It's high winds, there's snow, you go into
There's the
mines.
ice caverns, yeah.
I must say, the way those levels sprawl, especially Kashyyyk, the wiki planet, holy shit, if you land on that planet again after having explored all of it, and you just zoom out, it's
huge,
massive. There's a lot of area to run around in there.
I got super lost on Kashyyyk because I got to like the end area where you have, the first time you visit, you have like the big boss battle there. And then I got there and I was like, how do I get back? Because I was trying to get back a specific way so I could find something. So not take like the elevator that they give you. Man,
Was it
that
just
fucking
hell?
map does not make that easy.
Goddamn.
No,
No,
so lost.
that's probably one of my criticisms of the game is that the map system works, but it's not straightforward. It's very like if you need to get to that point over there. To try to figure out how to get there is such a pain. It would have been helpful if you could put like a waypoint. And it just
I feel like it's a
helps
cool
you, but-
50-50 because it's like there's parts of it that I like. Like I like when it tells you, oh, this door that you can't get through, you can't get through. Like it's red. Like don't waste time.
That I really enjoy. Yeah.
Or like, here's this path that you haven't explored. That's cool. But man, like you said, when you come back to a planet that you fully explored, that map is so difficult to understand what's going on there. Yeah.
So I'm not even thinking of collecting all the collectibles.
I know,
or
fuck
anything.
that
It's like
noise.
no. What I found is what I found.
How many stims did you end on?
8.
Did you get all 8?
I got 8.
I don't know
so
where
is
the
eight,
one
is
I
it 8
missed.
total.
Yeah, 8 total. Yeah.
The one was very weird. And did you get the one on Kashyyyk by the giant bird?
What?
Yeah, so that's probably the one you missed.
Giant bird.
The thing that flies you to safety. Do you not remember that on the Wookiee planet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's when you revisit that planet, he's busy like sitting in the one area, almost like perched there. Oh, so you didn't revisit.
Okay, that I didn't do. There's the one I missed.
But it's weird because it's almost hidden in plain sight. Where I climbed up a thing, I looked at the bird, and I carried on playing. And I came back and I was like, oh, there's a healing stim like right there. It's not even hidden.
Oh,
I mean, it's hidden, but it's in plain
so
sight.
it's just like rewarding you for coming back.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
I got
definitely
all
the
eight.
one I missed then.
Yeah, because that is the last one I got. And I'm glad you told me that there's one part of the game where you get to explore a fallen
Yes, the Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer.
Yes.
And Grease does mention at one point, like, hey, there was a Star Destroyer, but you could completely miss that.
It's such a good
It's
segment.
like a little, like just one little specific way to get there, and you get there, it's like, holy shit, this is really cool.
Yeah, it was like one of my favorite side segments. It's like this short little level that is just like so much fun. Yeah.
Made me feel like Rey from
From
Force Awakens when
Yeah.
she's busy scaling that.
because like being inside that Star Destroyer gives you a real sense of scale, and it's just really, really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I also like the other one on Zephyr where you have to fight the stronger version of those big like creatures. I don't know what they're called. You
They
kill
have
it,
names.
Yeah, you kill it, and then you're like in a maze of also like another Empire ship, and then you end up where you fought it, and there's like a canister there.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That is like a close quarters fight. Yeah, It's like on
I
top
died
of
so
you.
many times in that fight for stupid reasons. I was like, I should be killing this guy so easily. Like, yeah. But
It just happened. But he had his own bio. It was like a more aggressive version or something. So
yeah, he was way more aggressive. Like he gave you little chance to heal once he had hit you. Yeah.
But
good
overall,
game.
I really enjoyed the game. And the last fight, not as bad as you guys made
Fuck
out
you.
to be.
The last fight sucks. The last fight absolutely sucks.
I'm adamant you guys hated it because you had awful load times.
Yeah, I definitely think that exacerbated it. Like, I struggled with that fight, and then every death was like a 40-second wait. And I was just I hate this.
So just for context, the final boss has a move when she gets below 50% health. If she grabs you, and it's an insta kill. Like you can't.
Yeah, you get
doesn't matter
grabbed,
if
you
you
might as well
fall
just drop
out,
the controller. Yeah.
And it happened to me a good few times, but I can imagine if you've chipped away and then it happens, you have to wait nearly a minute. Yeah, that would really frustrate me.
I just found as soon as she got into like her second and especially her third phase, she was just like overwhelming. The thing that bugged me about her was like she wouldn't stagger from your hits. So you couldn't interrupt a lot of her attacks. So you'd be locked into like an attack animation and you'd be like, cool, I'm expecting like every other boss for her to stagger a little bit. It's like, nah.
And as weird as that, if you deflect perfectly, that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
It's more of just like, okay, cool, you get the nice little sound effect prompt, but
you get
Doesn't
a bit
really
of the
do, like-
stamina damage, but it doesn't really.
No, it's not even
left
worth
footer,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
She actually sometimes just goes straight into her next
Another
attack. Yeah.
You're like, okay.
I found her infuriating, but I do think you're right. It's like more infuriating because the console load times are
was
just
low.
ridiculous. Yeah.
What do you think of Malikos on Dathomir?
Oh, he was cool. I liked him. I
He's a
totally
fun
knew we
boss.
were going to fight him, but he was a cool. It was weird listening to him because he's. I mean, I heard it and I was like, oh, this is Liam McIntyre. It has to be who voices JD in Gears of War. So every time I was fighting him, I was
okay.
like, oh, I'm fighting
JD.
Yeah, JD in Gears of War. He was a cool boss fight because I felt he was challenging, but also like I could fight him in the Sekiro way. I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't struggle on him.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, I didn't die. I'd probably died to him once, I think.
Yeah, I
compared
died like
to-
once or twice to him.
Whereas the final boss, I died a good 10, 12.
His most annoying move was throwing rocks at you.
That is so
It's like,
annoying, yeah.
It was pretty annoying.
But can we talk about the surprise moment at the end when...
Oh man, yeah,
But,
super spoilers.
this is it. Now, if you really don't want to be spoiled, this is where you turn away. When, of course, it would be between episode 6 and 7. Of course, they're going to have a little.
You mean
I mean,
Episode
sorry,
3 and 4.
3 and 4. My bad. Of course, they're going to have a little Darth Vader action in there. She's like, but
man?
what I really.
He had a proper like Rogue One moment in there.
Yeah, but what I really like about it is that in the original trilogy, you know that Darth Vader is just like, oh, he's this powerful Sith, but you never really feel it in those movies because he's like a strong but almost slow moving character. But then in Rogue One, they fixed that. Like, oh my god, this guy's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, in Rogue One, that end scene where he's just cutting down all those rebels.
That's when you're like, holy shit.
Okay. I see why everyone's terrified.
This is
of
why
him.
people fear him. And then it happens in Fallen Order again, where he pops up and it's you can fight him for like a second and let you, like if you throw an attack at him, you like sort of just like brushes it aside.
Yeah, exactly.
And you hit him with your lightsaber, he blocks, and then it triggers a whole lot of a cutscene, and it's like, okay, we gotta run. We can't fight this guy. He's way too strong. And that to me is like, yes, that's Darth Vader. You can't even challenge him. He's
The best was Sia. She was like, "I'll cover you," and she
oh my
runs
god,
it in.
and he's just like
He
literally.
just like flicks her away like a bug, and I was
like-
just like, fuck.
I lost my
okay,
shit.
yeah.
So I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I think we need to get out of here now. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was, and then he just like, you've got to do that whole escape from that underwater base, and he's just like following you the entire
Yeah.
time. It is terrifying.
It's good.
Yeah.
But I mean, also shout out to Sia as well, who I think she had a really good arc in that.
I agree.
I think in the next game, they're going to lead into that as like she's obviously like highly seducible to the dark side because she leans into that at the end. You're like, damn, she is a strong Jedi.
Yeah, I think her relationship with Cal is like one of the best parts of the game. It's really, really good.
Oh my god! And that moment when she actually like knights him.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
it cues that game had some really good Star Wars moments.
It's
where
weird though.
even-
She knights him with the Sith lightsaber. That
I
was
was
kinda
also like,
strange. Yeah.
that's a bit weird, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
But they know how to get you, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, where it just cues that classic Star Wars music.
Yeah,
And I was
John
like-
Williams like main.
I was
theme.
like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, they like Respawn knows what the fuck they're doing. I think also the ending. I think it was good. Like they're like, if we know where they are, then we risk letting everyone else know where these kids are. So they just like destroy the holocron.
Yeah.
Which I think is I think
Yeah.
it's smart. And it also fits in with the canon. Like, if there was suddenly, they found all these kids and made this Jedi temple, like, where the fuck does that fit in? So,
I'm interested to know where the next game is. Because,
yes,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like Rogue One. We all watch it knowing, like, well, shit, these people are probably going to die. So at the back of my mind, I was like, well, maybe Kel's going to die at the end of this game. But everyone's like, oh, I wonder what the sequel's going to be. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, it sort of implies that he survives. And he does. And now I'm like, what will they do with the next game?
the thing I'm most curious about is, like, I mean, the whole reason this works is sort of like a Metroidvania is because, like, you work under the principle that Cal...
He's relearning his
Yeah,
powers
he's like cut off his connection to the Force and he's like reintroducing himself to the Force. Like, if you start the next game and like he knocks his head and he's got amnesia, I'm gonna be like, okay,
nah.
no.
Well, I mean, kind of funny spoke about this. They're saying, well, it would be cool if maybe the premise of the next game is Carl's there. They maybe stumble upon a new force sensitive character, and he's like your master, and you're relearning.
That'd
Like
be
they
pretty
obviously
cool.
framed some other objective. but
So Cal's still there,
Carl's
but you're not
there,
playing as Cal.
Yeah, Cal and Sia are all there, but it's some new.
I like that.
So that's pretty cool. Like they can take the story long. I mean, the gap between 3 and 4 is long. We've got to let Luke and Leia grow up. So
I do like that. I would be super, super happy if they intermingled with some people from like Star Wars Rebels, because they operate within that space. And if you watched Rise of Skywalker, I mean, it's a small like Easter egg tidbit, but like in that final battle where all the rebel ships arrive, like what's her name? Sabine. I think it's Sabine. No, not Sabine. She's the what the fuck's her name? I forgot. But like the ship that's in Rebels that they all chill on is in that.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah, and
that scene had a lot of
cool.
ships. I read articles after. It's like, oh.
They all come from here and yeah. So I was like, that's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Even had old was it Wedge?
Yeah.
I was like,
I
didn't even know.
This guy. God, he's so old.
He's ancient.
Yeah, it was so cool seeing him. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's a complete throwaway thing for everyone else who watches that. But I saw him. I was like,
oh my god,
he's back.
Yeah. So Fallen Order, like we've beaten to death. It's a good game. Not
really
the perfect game. Like still a lot of polish you can go into, but.
A lot of things I'd see in the sequel that could be improved.
They've got a feel for it now. I think the sequel, they'll fix a lot of stuff, a lot of the
It was a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
And again, hats off to Respawn for doing what they did, because that is no small task. Like,
no.
To put, I don't know, like to even think of, like, where do you even start with a Star Wars game if you are not, Disney or LucasArts? Like, to even touch that IP, it must be quite a daunting.
And I mean, we saw I guess it's in the news, but like Lucasfilm was pretty resilient to the idea of another Jedi game. So like for Respawn to not only like stick to their guns and say this is the game we want to make and then deliver on it, because like I can imagine if they didn't pull it off, they'd be in trouble.
We'd wait another 10, 15 years for a crack at another Star Wars game. I don't know.
I'm super stoked to see what they do with a sequel, because it has to be a sequel.
Yeah, give me at least one segment where I get to play a seer with a lightsaber and a blaster.
Ooh.
Thank you.
See, yes, I would love if the next one combines that, like blaster and lightsaber combat.
I mean, Respawn would
like go real fucking Bloodborne. So well.
I mean, they've got a bit of shooter knowledge, and I mean they haven't done a third-person shooter, but they know how to make a good FPS. So imagine there's some shooting mechanics in the. I mean, next one.
One of my favorite Star Wars games of all time is Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, one of those Kal Katarn games. And the second one is literally like, it's a first-person shooter, but when you get your lightsaber, like it turns into third person.
Okay.
So it's always first person until you equip your lightsaber, then it's like a third person.
That's cool.
Fuck yes.
Goddamn.
Give that to me again.
Make it happen.
I'll be right there with you. Like,
we'll wait 3 to 5 years and see what they do next.
Or you just go the Bloodborne route and you have like a, you've got your blast, and that's used as like a mechanic in the combat, like a stagger mechanic.
Oh, listen, I would have killed for. I know Jedi's say like, well, Obi-Wan, we know he quotes like blasters, like how uncivilized, whatever. Listen, the amount of range troopers I wish I could have just shot. Especially at the end when they throw like tons of troops at you. I'm like, oh my god, it would be nice to just pick them all from afar.
It was so satisfying when you finally get like pull and you can redirect rockets to people. Or no, that was push.
Oh well, you can slow. Well, I suppose you could grab it if you really wanted to. I'm sure.
I'm thinking of more of control now. I'm thinking of when I could grab the rockets out mid-air. No, you can redirect them. If the rocket's slow them, you can push.
But you can slow it as well.
You can slow it as well, yeah. And you can push it back to whoever was shooting it.
Sure. Star Wars, good game.
Good game.
Make a note, 24 minutes of 15, let's say.
Cool.
Spoilers are over. But that's basically all. Oh, I played more Luigi's Mansion. I'm like slowly chipping away. I've got 3 levels left.
Oh, okay, wow.
I'm pretty close to finishing. I think another 2-3 hours.
Where are you finding this time? Because you also stream this week.
No, well, I mean, I stream twice a week. It's
what did you stream this week?
Tuesday was Star Wars and Thursday was Counter-Strike.
Oh, okay.
And then on Tuesday this week, one of my colleagues has picked up League of Legends again. I said, I'll do a stream with you for League of Legends.
Dear God.
I won't get hooked. And then Thursday, Dark Souls 3. I think I'm going to finally play it. Goodbye.
That's a good one.
Goodbye.
That's a goodie. So Luigi's Mansion.
It's a good time. So when do I play? It's literally before
Oh, do you
before
play
I
in bed?
sleep. It's
Okay,
like
cool.
20-30
So
minutes every evening.
it's your like going instead of watching an episode of TV or something.
Oh yeah, no, I'm playing Luigi's Mansion. It's a good time.
What's your favorite floor so far? I mean, I haven't played it. So.
Probably still that director one that I mentioned last week, where you're on the form one. Although I did get to one yesterday where it's you basically trying to get the next level button from 3 magician ghosts.
Okay.
And the whole theme of the level is it's all like magic tricks and illusions and stuff. So eventually you look on the map, you walk through a door and it teleports you somewhere else. And it's like, what? And you've got an exclamation mark telling you where you need to go. And it's like, but
how do I get there?
Okay. And you end up going through this whole like maze and it messes with your mind. But it's really cool. Yeah.
So you're finding the 3 ghosts of Dynamo.
The 3 ghosts of Dynamo.
I'm convinced now that Luigi's Mansion exists in the world of Control.
Yeah, it's a prequel to Control.
And the mansion is just the oldest house.
It is.
Because the way it just houses entire beachfronts and pyramids.
Yeah,
and
the one level was Egyptian themed. There's a whole pyramid in it. I was like, how did this happen?
It's the fucking oldest house. I mean, when you go into that Black Rock quarry in the oldest house, you're like, how is there a mine down here?
I don't know.
It's the oldest house. I'm just waiting for Ati to appear.
I love how you just accept that it's the oldest house. Like, of course there's a mine down here.
Yeah, of course. It's like, I get there and it's like, well, yeah, duh.
Of course. Like, come on.
I mean, when you're following Ati to wherever the fuck he is, it's like, how is this here? Yeah.
I don't know.
I think one of the DLCs is called The Foundation. So you go back there.
I think, yeah. I'm ready. Well, I can't wait for the story DLC because it will obviously expand the story. I mean, the one we have now, the Expeditions, that's cool, but it's
just hard mode.
Gauntlets of enemies. Okay.
No.
But that's what I've been playing. What have you been playing? Do tell.
Oh, man. I got super back in. Remember last week I mentioned I was busy playing Celeste again?
You're just dabbling with some of that Celeste.
Oh, my God. I think it wasn't too long after the podcast. I finished Celeste. That ended. Man, that scene with... my memory's so bad. Theo, that's the one. Theo at the fireplace where you're just talking for a long time. He's really good. Like,
the story beats in that game are really good. Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
I love how Theo he's there to serve as like a bit of comic relief, but
he's deep, man.
He's got moments where he says stuff you're like, damn.
And he's got his own issues as well. Like that whole moment was great, and then just the final climb where you're confronting. You're confronting your anxieties. It's just so well done.
And I love how it takes you. It's almost like a greatest hits of all the levels.
Yeah.
And it just mixes all the mechanics into this one long level.
And it also just like shows you like you get to the end of each stage and you literally could not complete this without the help of
Badeline.
Yeah, Badeline or confronting Madeline's own fears. Like it's so baked into the design of each level. It's man, what a game.
See, but now you've fallen down the same rabbit hole.
So then I was like, I collected most of the B-side cassettes as I was going because I actually just found them. They were pretty easy to find.
Yeah, there's one or two.
There was like one that I was like,
that
I needed help with.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what these B-sides are about. And man, they are much harder.
That's the rabbit hole.
They are way harder and way longer than I thought they'd be, but I can't stop playing them.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think that's why I insisted, like, just try it, because anyone will be put off being like, no, I don't want to play like, I've just beat the game, it is hard. I want to, beat my head against the wall even more. But when you play, you just try it. You do one room, like, oh, okay, like I managed that. Well, shit, this room is impossible. Let me just try it. And you do it, you get past it. You go, oh, okay, well, let me just try this next one. And you just carry on going until you finish them.
Again, you're
nearly halfway through the B-sides now.
Yeah. I played so much Celeste last weekend. The B-sides also like tie into the narrative of like, oh, I can't do this. It's like your self-doubt and then you try and you try and you try and you go, oh, I kind of know what I need to do. Now I just need to execute.
Yeah.
And when you get it done, you're like, man, I overcame something difficult. You know what I mean?
My favorite part though is you send me that video, you're like, what the hell? Like, what is this room? What I do?
That one in the inn. Fuck.
But that's a lot of rooms. You get there and you're like, what am I even meant to do here?
Listen, I've used videos once or twice now just to look like people speed running the B-sides. It always kind of depresses me because I think I'm doing like really well.
No, until you watch the speedrunners.
Or no, then I load up a video and the room that I'm stuck on is like 1 minute into their 4-minute video.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh,
The B-sides are very long, actually.
yeah. But it's good. It's the best part of it is going back to normal levels because I'm mopping up all the strawberries now as well.
So easy now.
And you just destroy them. Like I remember specific rooms like giving me so much hassle. Now they are trivial.
Yeah.
Not because you get more abilities in Celeste or anything. It's just like
You just
your
learn the
skills
game,
have skilled up. Like
you get such a feel for the game, and
It's
you
so
just
good, yeah.
and it controls very well. Like there's a reason it's considered one of the best platforms because they clearly spent a lot of time like perfecting that movement.
it's incredibly precise. Yeah, it's really good. I still don't understand how you play with the thumbstick. D-pad for life. I don't get it. But the B-sides are good. I think I've done the first 3. And I just finished getting all the strawberries in my least favorite chapter, the one at the wind. I really despise that chapter.
That wind chapters are not a good time.
Yeah, it's not. And I think I've started the B-side on there. I've done a bit of it and I'm like, this fucking sucks. I hate this.
Yeah. But you'll get through it.
I'll get through it, yeah. I mean, I say it's my least favorite, but I just also know like chapter 6 has got those angry blocks. And I remember they had some weird mechanics tied to them.
Yeah, there are some on the B and C sides. Those blocks are used to solve some puzzles where you're given like this long room and you have to figure out how to get to the other side of it. And figuring those out is like, that's half the challenge. But it's good. It's so good.
So yeah, then I've got C-sides afterwards.
Yeah, and like I've told you, the C-sides, they're harder, but they are much shorter. It's like 2 or 3 rooms. And it's usually just stringing together a long sequence of things, which is harder, but it's, I don't know, I almost enjoy the C-sides more.
Oh, okay, because they're more like blitz.
It's more, and they're much quicker as well.
I do find some of the B-sides overstay their welcome. Like
they're
by the end of some
long,
of them, I'm just like, I really just want this to be done now. Also, so then I'm collecting the crystal hearts, which thankfully you said just Google those.
Look up
those
a
are so
guide.
obscure. So that I can do the chapter 8 core
You
stuff.
could probably go do the core now. I think you've probably got enough hearts.
Maybe.
I think you need 7 or 8.
I just want to collect all of them and then I'll do core. And then eventually get to farewell. Because you see, the intention was to play farewell. And you're like, no, you need to do all the B and C sides. So I was like, oh, fuck. So I was like, I could Google what the story is, but after I finished Celeste, I was like, that's such a disservice.
Yeah, the payoff wouldn't.
Yeah,
it'd be
the
such
same.
a waste.
Yeah.
It's like telling someone to, if you're playing Final Fantasy 15, so you want to play the game, just look up the ending.
Yeah.
You don't earn that cutscene.
Yeah, you don't earn. And then it just comes off like, oh, that's a neat thing, but you miss the emotional heft attached to it.
Yeah.
So I'm committed to this now. But I say committed is almost, and that sounds like pretty negative, but like I'm having a really good time. Like it is testing me in a way that I haven't been tested in a platformer before.
I'm living vicariously through you because it's, I feel like if we were to put this in a big metaphor, I'm Sully, okay? I'm old, I'm beat up, but you, Nathan Drake, you've got this athletic ability. I want you to go. Well, actually, that's the wrong game because Sully's like, don't do tomb hunting because he's old and retired. But if Sully were to be like, hey, I want this adventure, but I can't do it, you do it on my behalf.
Yeah.
So I've done all the B and C sides, but watching you play through them, I'm like, yes, go get through them. Enjoy it.
It's actually quite cool, like messaging you going, oh, I finished this part, or like, man, this part is really fucking bad, and you're like giving me advice as I go. It's like really fun.
Well, that one room you sent me, I was halfway. I went and I grabbed my Switch. I found the error. I was like, oh yeah, you just need to do this. I sent you a screenshot. I'm like, okay, you've got a boost here. But you're like, I just did it.
Yeah. Well, eventually, like, I looked at it and I was like, I think I know what it wants me to do, but there's no way I can do that. I was
But then you did it.
I don't fucking know how to execute that. Like, I feel like I chip away at rooms, like, I do the beginning and die and die and die. And eventually, I just get so good at that beginning part. It's like I'm getting past that and then I'm dying at the next.
Yeah, but that's often how the rooms go. And you'll see that on C-sides especially, those longer sequences. It'll be like, you die, you figure out that first part. You die, you do the first part, you die. And then you end up stringing together. And by the time you finish it, you're amazed at like the first 90% of the level you're doing so seamlessly now, almost like effortlessly, because the muscle memories there, you've just learned how to do it. So
there's some instances where it's like I've done the first 20% of a room so many times and so perfectly, and when I finally get past it, the adrenaline kicks in so much that I just finish the room because my reflexes are just like on 200%. I'm just like,
200 IQ.
I can't. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's a great fucking game. I've also learned how to use those clouds pretty well.
Clouds. Oh yeah.
Because those used to piss me right off because I couldn't get the timing right. Now
you know, you have to use the timing really good.
And I'm also learning new things. Like I didn't know that you could wall bounce.
That it doesn't use stamina, yeah.
Like, if you don't know that, it doesn't really teach you, but it puts you into scenarios where you have to do that. Like, there's no other way.
When wall bounce, you mean jumping like left and right?
Where it doesn't use stamina. Take stamina, yeah. I mean, you can even do it when your stamina's, when you're flashing, you can kind of
you can do it,
yeah. I also didn't realize, I think through the main game, that bouncing on a spring replenishes your dash.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, even like going through those weird...
The black portal
things like that also replenishes your dash. There's a lot of little tricks that they don't tell you, but you figure out.
I did do that Crystal Heart where you have to jump between screens.
Oh,
so
it's interesting.
Every time you enter a new area, your dash is replenished.
But I'd never have figured that out. But someone is like, okay, I'm gonna go straight up into the sky.
Yeah, I'm just gonna dash between screens.
My God.
Yeah, that feels like breaking the game.
I've told you, I think it's core, so 8, the Seaside's core, they teach you something that's literally the last level. Like, oh, by the way, here's this move, and you have to use it to beat that level. But
so it's not a new ability, it's just something you never put together?
It's just a new move. It's like, I think, maybe some people would figure it out, but it's not obvious that you could do that. It's like, oh, okay, like shit, imagine having this at the beginning of the game.
Oh, really?
I think a lot of speedrunners use that move specifically to get through
levels quickly.
Through levels way quickly, but it's not obvious. And they teach it to you like right at the end of the game. It's like, wow, okay. Thanks, Matt Austin.
Well, it's like the final chapter. You've suddenly got 2 dashes, and it took me a while to kind of adjust to that because it completely changed the way I thought about how I could get to places, and then it fucked me up when I came back to a B-side and suddenly only had 1 dash. I was like,
wait till you get to core, there's no dash.
I hate everything.
Yeah, and you know that I only learned this week. So
there's no dash because the mountain's like super weird there. Yes, I do remember.
So, but I learned this. I was on the Celeste subreddit, and someone's like, "Oh, funny, got the 22nd strawberry on the first level," and I was like, "Wait, so when you finish the game entirely, you get a golden strawberry at the beginning of each level, which means in order to get it, you have to play the whole level without dying."
Oh, fuck off.
Okay, so that's like, imagine playing any of the hotel without dying once. Okay,
nope.
So that's how the golden berries work. But then there's another berry on the first level where you have to do the whole thing without using boost.
No.
So I'm like, how
and do all the levels without boost?
No, I think it's just the first one.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it's something of there are tricks in that you have to be precise. You can jump, obviously, but you can't boost. And there are ways to get through some of those rooms. And I'm like, how? How is that possible?
I'm just thinking about the hotel without dying, and it makes me want to throw my switch at a wall. Because there are so many cheap deaths in that. The chase with Oshiro. No. I don't want to think about
when you finish the game, go watch a speedrun. Speedrunners do it in under 30 minutes, and it's insane to watch.
You finished it again in like an hour and a half, didn't you?
Yeah, so I played it again. I don't know, I just had an urge to play it. I did it in 2 hours.
Damn.
And then I played it again and finished an hour and a half. I mean, and there's plenty of room for me to improve, but I'm definitely not going to do it in half an hour because
do it.
No, because
become South Africa's only Celeste speedrunner.
Those speedrunners, the amount of time investment you have to put into perfect that, I'm like,
Matty,
no,
do it.
No.
Just stop CS:GO and play competitive Celeste.
I just found the idea very romantic. I found it
romantic. Yes.
No, I do think it's very romantic to think that I'd like to finish a game in under an hour. That's a goal I'd like to do, but half an hour. No, definitely not. So we'll see.
Celeste is good.
Celeste is a good time.
Also been playing Frostpunk again. Living in 2018 year.
Sure.
2018.
2018. Yeah. Oh, well, no. This is the expansion or DLC.
Yeah, so...
Why do they label it?
they call it the Last Autumn. They call it an expansion. It's part of their season pass. So their season pass, they've been adding like scenarios because the base game was like a scenario.
That's hilarious because it's literally a season pass.
Yeah, season pass in this winter.
This
yes.
is the autumn one. You're gonna get the spring one and the summer.
Oh, fuck, I hope not. But this is like billed as their most expansive scenario yet, and like 100% it is. So it takes place before the main game. The autumn before the big winter that comes.
Yeah, if you don't know, in Frostpunk, the whole premise of the game is that there's a big winter coming, or has a big winter
it's
hit.
there. It's like now, like humanity scattered, and you got to survive.
It's like freezing cold conditions, and you
basically build your city around a big generator
that
to
like
kind
helps
of
you
like
survive.
Yeah.
So now this is, I guess, a prequel. We said like
Yes.
it's autumn.
Yeah, so it's autumn, and you are sent to one of these like seaside towns to build the generator that would eventually, become one for the winter. So,
so it's the actual one from the main game that you're building.
well, yeah, there's multiple sites.
Okay.
So instead of having to, so you don't contend with the cold, at least not at the beginning. So you don't worry about that. What you do have to worry about now is you have to worry about your workers' discontent and their motivation. So depending on how high or how low your motivation is, your work efficiency is affected. And discontent can affect things like strikes in the workplace. Things like workplace safety and discontent and like work hours and stuff all contribute to strikes. And strikes, like to resolve strikes, you have to like bargain with your workers or give them something, or, it becomes a real problem.
Just like real life.
And then on top of that, you're stuck to these deadlines. Like you've got 4 phases of building this generator, and each phase is a milestone. And you've got a time limit. Like you have to finish for the first milestone by X,
Day,
whatever. Otherwise you get fired, and then you have to restart again. Which seems like a really weird thing. Like you're fighting for the survival of humanity. Like getting fired doesn't seem like a productive
I think in the
thing.
original Frostpunk, the way they contextualized it almost made a bit more sense. Like you're not going to save humanity the way you're running this place.
Yes.
Like we're throwing you out.
We're throwing you. They either throw you out of the camp or they tie you to the generator and let you burn, which is interesting.
Horrific.
Yeah, pretty horrific. So this one, you've got a new book of laws. A lot of them, or some of them, are repeats of laws. But if you played the original Frostpunk, you know that it eventually diverges into like you can go into an authoritarian type of regime or a more like religious based one. This one, it's like you side with the workers or you side with the scientists. And they, depending on how you do it, like you can go into a more like socialist type of like law thing or one that's more authoritarian again. And that brings its own implications. Like I tried to side with the workers at first, and it gave me an incredibly good working force and a lot of people to work with, but it also meant that they started interfering with like they wanted to make put through laws that didn't make any sense. Their ideas just didn't make sense.
Like we need scientists for this.
Yeah, and that was the run where I didn't realize I had time limits on the milestones, so I got fired like pretty quickly. So then I tried to side with the scientists, and they were interesting because they were like, they wanted to be treated better than everyone else. And I was like, fuck you. But they allowed me to institute a lot of like security things. So I could install security barracks around to make sure people were working and kind of like force them to. And then...
Well, it sounds awfully authoritarian to me.
Yeah, and then I could, instead of shipping in workers, because so here... You've got like a harbor, so every now and then you can order like workers or scientists or resources from mainland London. And
Amazon.
Yeah, from Amazon. And it comes to you via ship, because you actually don't have many resources around you. You've got to build a dock and harbors, and you've got to specify what resources you need. It changes the whole dynamic of how you gather resources, and you've got to think about, I'm prioritizing this. I got to stockpile.
You're planning ahead,
yeah, because eventually the supplies stop.
No,
because eventually the cold comes back and the waters freeze. So you got to like, when that happens, you're stuck for 10 days with no resources. So if you haven't stockpiled things like me, I ran out of food and you can actually end up in a state where you can't complete the game. Like if you don't have enough steel, you can't construct the things that you need for the generator, stuff like that. But so basically I was shipping in workers, and they all come with a cost. Like workers cost like 2 points or whatever, and engineers cost 4. And eventually I was like, okay. And then eventually I was allowed to ship in convicts who cost only 1 unit. I was like, I have a workforce now of convicts, but I have to build like a penal house for them so that they don't escape during the night. And I've got to hire now more engineers to act as their guards.
Yeah.
But then I signed into law this ability, which is like any building that is only worked on by convicts, I can like double their efficiency because I can just force them to
crack
work.
the whip.
Yeah, and honestly, that fucking saved me at the end because I had so many convicts and my people were dying because the winter had come. I hadn't thought ahead adequately for the heat, so I'd run out of coal. I ran out of raw food, so I had starving people, and every single day I was just people dying. Like I had like 400 workers. I was down to like 200 very quickly. And it was just me cracking the whip on these convicts that got the generator done with a day to spare.
You think it was the winter killing all your people. It was actually the convicts being mad, going out murdering everyone.
Oh, that definitely happened. There was one point where it's like, so one of the convicts who was a convicted murderer has murdered one of our workers. What should we do with him? I'm like, let him work. I don't have fucking time for your fucking nonsense here. We are saving humanity. 11-bit Studios, the developers of this, they made this War of Mine. Like, the original Frostpunk get hard decisions. This one is just the same.
Next level.
It's like, you can think of something so small that has an impact so far down the line.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like, at the beginning of my run, there was one instance where a letter came, and it was from mainland Liverpool. And it was like, oh,
Liverpool.
This man's daughter is dying. Should we let him go home to see it? And I was like, yeah, okay. At the time I didn't care. And it was only like 2 hours later where I got a message saying, we got a letter from that man, his daughter passed away, but it's given your people hope that you allowed him to go see.
Okay.
And it like raised motivation. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And then like there was a much darker instance where one of my citizens was like, hey, these guards you employed are cool, but they keep stopping me. They don't stop ugly looking women and men, but they keep stopping me because I'm pretty. And I'm like, so I didn't listen to her. And then like later on, I get this message like, oh, she killed herself because she was being molested by the guards.
Shit.
And I was like, oh my God. It makes you feel fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Like, but in a way where it's like, the whole game is you just spinning all these plates and sticks, and you've just got to decide which are the most
plates
important.
are more important.
Yeah, which plates you can't break. And by the end of it, like, I lost a fourth of my workforce, but I got the generator done.
You got
and
the
we
job
left.
done. That's all that matters.
And then the game just like gut punches me. It's like, let's see how efficient your generator is, because there's like optional upgrades you can do on the way, and it's like poor. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. But that was the end of the scenario, so I can now play it again.
Yeah.
I played it on normal, which even in the review guide, they're like, listen, this is the hardest scenario we've designed. So don't feel bad putting it down to easy. So I felt pretty good that
you finished it
I finished it on normal, but it really pushed me. It was It was good. It's
a good time. I've got Frostpunk. I've watched Lenska play it. I've never played it myself.
Oh yeah, she did play it. I remember her saying it was good.
She enjoyed it, yeah.
It's and now this expansion. So I haven't been keeping up with the expansion, but there's like 2 scenarios that came out before this. So now this is the 3rd one, and they've added an endless mode. So they've added a lot of content.
Endless winter does not sound fun.
Oh no, not at all. But like I now want to go back and play the other scenarios because like it's the bug is bitten me again. This game is really good. It's cool because I can play like 2 hours and either have a shit run or save
Millions
in the middle
of
of a run, or no, just save in the middle of a run and come back to it, and it's addictive.
A good time.
It's good.
Damn.
Yeah, and the music's good, and you don't need like the UI is so simple that I'm just using my mouse most of the time.
So it's chilled. It's chilled, but not chilled.
Very chilled, but man, when that music kicks in, when people are just dying, and every time someone dies, you hear this like gong, and it's like, oh, it's just ringing in my ears. Yeah.
The next time you're a gongs, PTSD, like, no, my people.
I put the game speed on fast forward, and I just see the number of my people just like just dying.
It's funny because I think Lenska listened to this. I mean, this is probably when it first started podcasting, like long ago. She heard that episode. She's like, man, that Frostpunk game sounds fun. And I was like, this sounds like the opposite of the sort of game I'd recommend to her.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds stressful.
It is quite.
But she played it and she loved it. She was like, no, I wasn't stressed at all. I was like,
I think what I like about it is that it's got these city builder elements that I like, but it streamlines them in the way because it's like, this isn't about building a pretty city or building an efficient city.
Done,
It's getting it done. But at the same time, if you build without really thinking about it, you can really screw yourself. So it's like survival sim city, and I'm there for it. It's very good.
Survival Sim City.
Frostpunk's a good game. You should buy it. It's on Xbox Game Pass. On Darren's played it on console, and he says it actually works really well intuitively.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked. It's not really about not like SimCity level where you've got a 1,000 by 1,000 tiles space to work with. It's like things snap into place. You've got
it works in that concentric circle, and it's also like the game is more about the overwhelming. Like it was a bit. It actually wasn't. When I came back to the expansion, I was like, man, I've got to probably replay the first scenario again to understand the tutorial. And the first like half an hour, I was like, oh god, I don't remember. But man, then I was in. Like the UI is so intuitive, and it gives you the information you need when you need it. It's it's pretty easy.
It's a good time.
It's a good time. Yeah. Should we get to
game releases?
Game
release.
There's
a dime a dozen these days.
Yeah.
By the minute. More on that later. But I don't know if anything's coming really until like Feb or March. Well, I mean, I say that obviously games are releasing, but I'm talking about the big hits we expect.
I think the big one that for this week that just passed was Dragon Ball Z.
Carrot Cake.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Carrot Cake. It's actually getting much better reviews than I expected.
Oh, well,
like pretty good, like 8s and some 9s I've seen. Like,
damn.
I'm like, did not think that would happen, but okay. We're looking at game releases from the 18th to the 24th of January. So on the 21st, we've got Mega Man 0-ZX Legacy Collection, PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. We've got Temtem in early access. That's the
Pokemon clone.
Pokemon MMO. Yeah,
is it an MMO?
It's an MMO. Yeah. So I listened to GameSpot's podcast, who is hosted by Jake Decker and my reviews editor there, Callie Plaguey, and they both super big into Pokemon, and they chatted about Temtem, and I really want to try Temtem.
They like it.
Yeah, it sounds like there's stuff in here that Pokemon could learn from.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's out on early access and PC on January 21st.
Nice.
Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC.
Can we just point out that Remind is split into two? It's
why?
Mind.
Remind. Re isn't a word.
No.
Like by itself.
But it's probably to emphasize the mind.
To
Power of love.
To remind you how dumb their naming conventions are.
The naming conventions are awful.
So that's out on PS4 and Xbox One January 23rd or 25th. Please help me say this. Utawerumono.
Looks like there's two versions. So there's Mask of Truth and Mask of Deception.
Yeah, both out on the same day, both out on PC. But UTAWARERUMONO. That is a mess of vowels, and I know.
Oh, it's UT-aware.
UT-awarumono.
Utawerumono. I don't know. Whatever. That's coming out January 23rd.
And then the last one for this week, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, coming to PS4, Switch, Android, and iOS.
Damn. I played Crystal
Xbox
Chronicles.
got fucked in there. Like,
I played this game on DS. I enjoyed it. There's like a, Final Fantasy. Is
it a spin-off thing?
There's so many like spin-offs and just games with the brand attached to it.
Okay.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But I don't know how it holds up because it kind of relied on the DS a lot because obviously it had the touchscreen. So I don't know how it'll translate to. I mean, iOS and Android, yes, but I don't know about the other.
I feel like the same.
Although Switch as well. Switch has got a touchscreen. So.
Yeah, but it's like when The World Ends With You came out on Switch and it was on DS. It's like having that second screen was so integral and it just didn't feel right on Switch.
Yeah.
So even though it's a fucking great game. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's it.
That's it.
You want to get to news?
News
is easy. Delays
for days.
So many delays. Let's just talk through some of them. So Well, the first one that got delayed was
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
yes, but that was just to April, wasn't it?
Just April, just a month.
Yeah, just a month delay. But that kind of kicked off the season of delays. So Final Fantasy VII's coming out like beginning of April now. Initially, it was 7 days removed from Cyberpunk 2077 on April 16th. So that would mean Final Fantasy's out on the 9th. Now...
that delay, it meant that Final Fantasy VII Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, and Cyberpunk were all coming out within 2 weeks of each other, which is just insane.
But then, literally the day after, CD Projekt Red basically said, yeah, Cyberpunk is delayed. I think there's no real shock there. I kind of expected that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw the first gameplay of that game and they showed that city, that sprawling city, I was like, this game there's just so much happening in it. I don't know. I mean, we didn't even have a release date then, but it was like, this game's still far away.
Yeah. What was curious is when I first saw it at E3, the very first time they showed off gameplay behind closed doors was E3 2018. And I walked out of there going, man, this game looks so much far along than I think it is.
It would be, yeah.
And this just shows like how fucking polished vertical slices can be, because the whole game is probably not like that.
Yeah.
So by the time Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, it would have been over 2.5 years since I said, oh, this looks almost done.
Yeah. But I mean, they had a whole press release that it came out and
so
said,
basically it's out September 17th.
Yeah, the game is 100% playable from beginning to end.
Finish, yeah.
But they've said that they just want to add a whole lot of polish to that. What I liked is that they said they want this to be like the crowning achievement of this generation of gaming. Yeah. And look, people are upset about it, but The Witcher 3 was also delayed, and you know what? Delays are never a bad thing. Like, you should start getting worried about delays when a game looks incomplete and you know it's shipping on a certain date and it's being delayed because they need to still finish the game.
Or it just keeps getting delayed with no real updates. Yeah.
This is like, no, the game's done. We just want to polish it, and that's absolutely fine.
But at the same time, now CD Projekt Red is kind of under fire because the delay was announced just prior to like a financial call, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh boy.
And in that call, journalists asked questions like, does this delay mean that developers will, go from crunch and just extend the crunch? And essentially CD Projekt Red said yes. They said that in more polite words, that longer hours will be expected of employees and whatever. And this is the counterpoint to like, delays are never bad. It's like, delays are never bad for the game as an end result, but often it means just extending a period of crunch that already existed. So
you know that upsets me, because when I think of a game being delayed, it's more like, I know there's crunch in this industry and like there's almost no escaping it. But at the back of my mind, I thought like, shit, okay, they're delaying from April to September. That's like an extra, 5 months? I'm like, well, that at least gives breathing room to the developers. But it looks like no, they're going to just keep crunching for the next 5 months.
I don't know. I think crunch, like, there needs to be far more nuanced conversations about crunch, because like, I don't think there will ever be a studio that can survive without crunch. But I also know that there are complete diminishing returns when it comes to that. Like, eventually, you're just forcing people to work, and their productivity is so low that you'd benefit from sending them home, getting them, good night's rest, whatever. But at the same time, crunch can be managed. Like, I work in the software development industry, and I've seen firsthand that there can be instances where, yes, you'll crunch for a week or two, but then you are given lax working hours the 2 weeks after that or whatever. The problem with the games industry is that you get these things that are commonly known as like death marches, where it's not 2 weeks of crunch, it's like a year of crunch.
Yeah, it's like
and it's
forever.
Just unrelenting. And I remember, was it Neil Druckmann, who they finished The Last of Us, which was a pretty intense project for Naughty Dog, who have their own issues with crunch as well. And then went straight into Uncharted 4. And it was like going from one
crunch to the next.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's part of why Bruce Straley left. He was just like, I can't do this.
With things like that, I almost think that when a game's finished, you almost need to give, like, I know it can't really work like this, but you almost want to close a shooter for like a month or 2 or 3. Have skeleton staff or patches and general updates. But damn, to like just move on straight to the next project is ridiculous. But I mean,
and the sad part is that a lot of studios run off the work. Okay, I don't know how this applies to CD Projekt Red because they're in the EU, but I know a lot of American studios, they work off contractors.
Yeah.
So like when a project is finished and the studio's busy spinning up pre-production on another one, they don't need the animators there. They don't need them for 6 months doing nothing. So you come out of this period of crunch and then you don't have a job.
Yeah.
And it's
ridiculous.
It's like from the stress of being overworked to the stress of now I need to find another job. And like, when you get into a new job, you need to hit the ground running. It's like, it's hard. Like, and the problem is, it's not like, well, if they don't like it, they can find another industry. It's like, with that attitude, we are losing people who could potentially be making some of the best genre-defining games out there purely through burnout. And it's like something needs to change in the industry to make it more sustainable, so that the people that are there, that are good now, stay there. Because the average lifespan of lifespan sounds horrible, but the average span of a game dev staying within the games industry is like less than 5 years. It's nothing. It's not on.
Like 0.
Yeah. So like we had Needlin on a few weeks ago, and he's been at Naughty Dog for a while because he's part of a team where between projects they get to work on new tools.
He's got a very interesting position that he's just creating tools and stuff.
Yeah. So he never has no work to do. Yeah. And I've spoken to him before about crunch and his thoughts on it, because Naughty Dog's been in the news for intense crunch, and he has a different view on it than me. He says, there definitely is crunch and it sucks, but from my conversations with him, it sounds like Naughty Dog manages it well, because they go through periods of crunch and then they understand that people need downtime afterwards.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the same negative, view on it that I do, and I think that's because the management in Naughty Dog deals with it correctly. And I think that's where the nuance is lost in the conversation. Is like people go, crunch is bad, but they're not looking at how a studio is managing crunch, because it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
Like it is completely unavoidable. As much as people say it isn't, it is unavoidable. But there are ways to mitigate its effects. Like,
I mean, even to put that into context, we had Neil in here over December. The Last of Us 2 is coming out in
May.
You'd imagine they're under crunch now, but he said, no, the studio is basically closed for like a week
they're closed
for
at the
December,
festive period. Yeah.
Which some studios wouldn't do that. They're like, no, the game's out in 4 or 5 months. We have to get through this, So I don't know. But then again, like I do think it depends. Like you do get the crunch where people will burn out and won't be motivated to work. But how do you make it that, or how do you create an environment that people crunch but they're happy to be there because they want to see their hard work come to life? Like even in my industry, like I'm grateful that the team I work on now, there's like absolutely no crunch or very little overtime. But I know there are people that work in agencies that like just work forever, like constantly crunching because they like working on campaigns or whatever. And some people love it because they just want to win awards and like be noticed and that sort of thing. And other people are just like, well, this is shit, but I've got nothing better to do. So
but
I don't know.
It's such a tricky thing, because then it's like, then it's almost like, oh, if I don't crunch as hard as that guy, it's going to look worse on me. And then some studios capitalize on that. They go, oh, this guy's working 15-hour days. He's more passionate, clearly. So we're going to keep him and fire
it's not even from the studio itself. The community as well. People are like, well, if this person want to crunch for CD Projekt Red, well, then like I would happily take their position. It's like,
I mean, sure, you want to make something great. Great games require a lot of sacrifice in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people, as humans, we can often push ourselves to limits that are dangerous to ourselves. So people can crunch for 2 months because they're super passionate and completely burn out and like cause irreparable damage to like mental health, physical health even. So that I mean, like I said, I think it's unavoidable, but I think the problem now is studios don't manage it correctly. I mean, there was that fucking line yesterday where Crystal Dynamics was like holding raffles for people to win prizes based on how much overtime they were. Fuck right off. What the hell?
I don't know.
Like,
I think
what dystopian nonsense is that?
I think that's a way of them. They're trying to manage the crunch, but it's like a very distasteful way of managing it.
I could not believe that I was reading that. But so there are ways to mitigate it, and in America, the big thing is like, we need unions to protect workers, and I think that is the difference between studios in America and studios in like maybe Poland, CD Projekt Red, where the EU has very different rules concerning that. So I think, I just think the problem is when these come up, it's always it's presented as a black and white argument, like crunch is bad, there should be no crunch. But there needs to be far more realistic and nuanced conversations about the realities of the work, but how it can be managed far, far better.
Goddamn.
So Cyberpunk got
delayed. Still excited for the game.
Oh yeah, super excited for the game. I just hope that, when I play it, I don't read stories about developers who are completely burnt out and had like long-lasting damage to them just for this piece of like video game. Like video games are not that important that it destroys people's lives.
Definitely not.
Avengers also got delayed to September, so rip Avengers.
Oh my god! Can you imagine being Crystal Dynamics? You delayed to September, like it's open season, like the next consoles are coming, but like there's no big releases slated for that time of the year, and then arguably the biggest release this year, Cyberpunk,
like 12 hours later,
we're delaying to September 2. You're like,
and then
what?
on top of it, it's like, oh, we got delayed to September. Cyberpunk's there. Okay, but Cyberpunk's taking some flack from media because of work practices. Oh, they found out we hold raffles here.
Yeah,
it's like not been a great week for Crystal Dynamics. Yeah.
I'm so worried about that game.
I do not think that game's going to do well, and I worry for it. I worry for a game that is billed as a live service game coming out 2 months before new consoles. Yeah. There was another thing with Cyberpunk. A lot of people were like, well, now I'm just going to wait to play it on new consoles. So, I mean, we don't know the plans for the new consoles. They could be backwards compatible, which I think this is how it's going to go, because CD Projekt Red said they currently have they have plans to bring it to new consoles, but they're not working on it at the moment.
Not yet, yeah.
So my assumption is that new consoles come out, you can play Cyberpunk on the new consoles, and maybe just like Xbox does with their backwards compat, you get like a bit of a resolution boost or a frame rate boost or whatever. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, a lot of the other news like pales in comparison to that. We got a new trailer for Nemesis, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis looks real good. Looks really freaking good. The Epic Game Store made a ton of money despite online boycotts that obviously never work.
It made $680
million, yeah, which I think around like 60% of that was from third parties, because a lot of it is Fortnite, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And, a lot of people kick to point out, like, doesn't this mean they're operating at a loss? And maybe yes, maybe no, but like this is the most competition Steam has had forever. So, of course, the company will need to invest a lot of money, take a hit here and there to,
Yeah.
This was the other one. Sony is out of E3 again. They decided to... This kind of surprised me, because I thought
Sony
for sure, new hardware, cool, they're coming back to E3, and they're like, nah.
I don't know. I think it's clever, because now, like, I'm just as shocked, like, damn, like, E3 is going to... I'm assuming Microsoft and all the other people still be
Microsoft said they'll be there. But again, Microsoft saying they'll be there is very different, because, like, they own the theater across the road and they aren't in the LACC. They're just like, we're going to be in LA that week. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a thing of, well, now whenever Sony do decide to reveal the console and have like whatever, maybe they'll have press events, X, Y, Z, they're going to get 100% of the attention. It's no longer like in the past, it was, here's the Xbox One and the PS4. And then news headlines that day, it's sort of splitting readership, whatever, across however many articles. Now it's like, E3 is its own thing, and it's going to be the Xbox and a whole lot of other game announcements. And then PlayStation have their own events aside that's going to have all their shit. So, I don't know. I think it's...
I'm super curious about this.
Yeah, what's going to happen? I don't know. But I do think PlayStation aren't going to lose by having their own separate thing.
No, I definitely don't think this is like, oh, fuck, they're in trouble. I just think it was surprising to me because I thought this would be like, hey, we're returning to E3 with new hardware. It would be like a big deal. And it, I think conversely, it would make news as well. It's like, oh, they missed out last year. And they skipped last year because, quite honestly, it made sense.
They had
like,
no games, really.
They were like,
they've got games.
we've got these 4 games that you've seen already, that the year prior already, our whole conference was just these fucking 4 games. Like, we're not going to waste your time with this.
Yeah.
And I think it worked in their favor because last year's E3 was seen as pretty dull. Everyone expected Microsoft to come in and be like, cool, Sony's not here, we're going to take out the big guns, and they really did not deliver on that. So, the thing that bugs me about this is like, it would have been cool if they were like, we're not coming to E3, but hey, we're hosting an event in March or May. They just haven't said anything.
Yeah,
which is just.
But they will though.
They will. They and I think whatever event they host will be before E3. I think there's not a chance in the world they wait till after June, to announce a console that will then come out in the next 4 months. There's no chance.
I still think it'll be funny though, because they could be like, yes, Microsoft are doing this, well, we're going to wait and then we're going to do this.
That's part of the reason I'm disappointed, because I kind of miss
the back and forth.
The back and forth at E3. Like, still one of the most memorable moments at E3 was like Microsoft in the I Sony in the evening of the beginning of this gen, and it was
Sony were just like
fucking
jabbing,
crazy. Literally just jabbing. But I also think this gives Microsoft a second shot at like really stealing the show.
God, I hope so.
And I think Microsoft not only learned throughout this gen, but they learned from last year, and this year they're gonna. I think
they've really been holding out on not holding out, but like you said, they've learned the lessons, and that this is the year where this is what we thought would happen last year, but I sincerely hope this year, now that we've got all the studios under their belt, they've got the services in place, they've shown their console that they come out and they really like this next gen is.
I already feel like there's this aura around Microsoft where people are like, they are doing good things. Like they revealed the console at the Game Awards and was like, that looks stupid, blah, blah, blah. But that has died down completely. I'm not seeing anyone talking about the design anymore.
No.
What I'm seeing now is people going, this thing is probably going to be more powerful than the new PlayStation.
Yeah.
And now people are just concerned about cost.
Yeah.
But like the concern isn't like, will this console be good? It's just like, will I be able to afford it? Which is a good position for Microsoft to be in. I love hardware. I love new hardware. I can't wait. It's E3 is going to be more so. This just means E3 is really losing relevance. More than the big loser here is E3 itself, because it really is. It felt empty last year, and I think it's just going to get worse. The fact that a major console manufacturer doesn't feel the need to go to E3 during a new console launch is telling. That is telling to me. Doom got a new trailer, Doom Eternal, because that's out in March still.
Damn, how many Dawson faces did Darren?
Darren loves
Photoshop
it with delays. That's his go-to. That new Doom trailer fucking did it for me. It's so good. It's
and that's
I cannot wait for that game.
Yeah. Holy shit. So many.
Speedrunners are playing.
That is
Ring
insane.
Fit,
They're finishing the Ring Fit adventure in like 18 hours, but that's 18 hours.
That calculation makes no sense. So they're like, the one calculation is like they're burning 40,000 calories. I'm like, no, that's not possible. You'd be dead.
You'll die.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, I think about a 21K run and I've burned 2,000. Now I need to do that 20 times. Not a fucking chance.
No.
You'll be dead. Like, that just doesn't work.
You'll be a corpse. Is it? I don't know if there's any other news.
I think that's about it. Yeah. Okay. I'm calling it.
Yeah, I'm calling it.
Okay.
So this means we
are in questions.
We are in questions.
If you want to send us questions, you can at. Oh, did we talk about this? Oh no, we did talk because it came out. Like as we recorded last week. You can email us at checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on all the social platforms: Instagram, Checkpoint Chat, Twitter, Checkpoint Chat, Facebook.com/Checkpoint Chat. Send us questions everywhere. I think we got mails while we were recording.
We got one from Megs. I only see one from him.
Okay.
Resend the last Checkpoint Chat of the 2010s. Question 1. Do you guys listen to podcasts at high speed, 1.5, 2, etc., or slow speed, and why?
No, normal speed.
No, I don't. And this is something I only became aware of, I think, towards the end of last year, where I saw a couple of people on Twitter talking about it, where like the premise is that you just play a podcast at 1.5 speed because
you can get through it
you
quicker.
get through it quicker. And I can understand that if you're listening to like a 2-hour podcast, you're going to save half an hour.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm like, but no, I like listening to normal speed.
It's where because I got the Apple Watch, so sometimes in my car it's got like the media player thing on my watch.
Oh, you touch it
sometimes
by
I'll
mistake.
move and I'll touch it, and like
hate
for
it.
5 seconds I'll be like, "What the fuck just happened to the audio?" And it's like,
then it's like, oh, this happened.
No, so what I do is some training videos, especially for programming.
Yes.
Like tutorials that are videos, I'll put that on like 1.5 because 9 times out of 10 the tutor talks way too slowly, and having it on 1.5 actually doesn't make a difference.
We need you to.
Yeah, no, fuck, it drives me insane. So that's when I use it, but for podcasts, no, I don't.
Yeah, I think okay. I think. Oh, what am I doing here?
Ooh.
I think Migs was planning on sending a whole lot of his questions from Nosh, but there's only one.
Okay.
Because it says the last checkpoint chat of the 2010s question 1, but then nothing.
Maybe he's spreading them out.
He's going to spread them out over a couple of weeks. Which means we only have one more question on Twitter from...
You see, because we went over last week. This week
we had
got
like
under.
20, 25 questions
so
last
many.
week.
Send us more
Everyone
questions.
burns
Send us more.
From Linford at Gundam C16.
Is this a new write-in?
No, I think we've had questions from them before.
Okay.
Anybody play Elite Dangerous?
Oh, so
No.
I did when it first came out. I enjoyed it enough that I seriously looked into investing into a what are they called? HOTAS systems? Is it HOTAS? HOTAS?
I have no
It's
idea.
basically, like joystick and a little little controller. So I feel like I'm flying a ship accurately. So I looked into investing in one of those because it was cool. It was like Space-Time Truckers. It was a good time.
Space-Time Truckers.
But I haven't played since. I don't have the time to invest into it that I want to. But it's a good game. I remember it coming out and me being like, this is pretty fun. It's very complex and very satisfying to like land and take off and just fly, and it's good. It's a good time.
Is Elite Dangerous the one that's not marketed as, but is a scam? Or am I thinking?
No, that's Star Citizen.
Oh, is that Star Citizen?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I was
Elite
like,
Dangerous is out and playable, and
I always get the two
had
mixed up.
expansions, and yeah. I remember at the time it was a big thing. It was like, which will come out first, Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen? That was in like fucking 2013, and Elite Dangerous has been out, and Star Citizen is still not out. So
Goddamn.
it's a good game. If I'm curious to hear actually thoughts of people who do play it now, what state it's in, whether it's a good time to like jump back in, have they made things easier, stuff like that. Because I know it is on console, so you can play it on a controller even. So
Space, the final frontier.
it really is. Yeah.
I went back and I found the questions from Migs. It's funny because some of them aren't applicable anymore. Sorry, Migs. Just because we didn't record that one weekend, and I think he did send questions
like
regardless.
10,000. Yeah.
So here's an interesting one.
Cool.
It's actually, we were in our time machine now. It says, is Outer Wilds and Disco Elysium really the shizners that the majority of game critics make it out to be?
Yes.
Which of the two would you choose? P.S. Will Alessandro finish Ori before the first episode of Checkpoint Chats in 2020?
I did. I did it before the first day of 2020.
Yeah.
Fucking nailed it. I haven't played enough Disco Elysium to say which is the better one, but I really loved Outer Wilds, so I like Disco Elysium too. I've played a little bit of it, and I'm like, yeah, this is fucking good.
If I had to choose which one I'd want to play first, I think Outer Wilds. Because I want to play Disco Elysium, but there's something about it. Like,
It's
I
a
think
book.
you have to, you really have to want to play it too. Whereas Outer Wilds seems like I've never watched trailers or gameplay or anything, and it just seems like
It's a bit more palatable. I think you could do 2 or 3 runs a night because a run is 22 minutes. So do like 2 or 3 for an hour and a half, and you've like, cool,
Good.
I've made progress. Yeah.
damn. Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on Netflix's The Witcher? Will you play The Witcher 3 again or play The Witcher trilogy again?
So I actually watched.
finish it?
No, I'm on the last episode. So I watched the penultimate one yesterday, and that episode was fucking good. I think that series gets off to a really janky and slow start, but man, it really picks up. Yeah, when it starts converging all its timelines, it's like, oh, okay, cool. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to replay the trilogy though.
I really want to replay The Witcher Witcher. Not the whole trilogy, but I really want to play 3 again.
I want to skip The Witcher 3. I want to play the DLC.
Yeah, okay, yeah. For the same, because
So
I never
want to
played...
play Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine, which I've never played.
I've heard Blood and Wine is awesome.
I just can't wrap my head around replaying The Witcher 3, which is a really long game.
Man, I kind of want to, though. I kind of really want to.
But it's almost like the middle ground for me is just a DLC.
I just kind of want to put it on PC again with some good mods and just...
it's pretty.
Just play it again. Just do it.
Next question. Will Matthew ever return to his backlog and talk about old games he finished recently? Yes. So like I've said, I'm going to play Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
And I don't know how soon after, but I do also want to get back to Bloodborne. I want to play the DLC.
Yes, you haven't played the DLC. So good.
I mean, I've got a list, actually.
I started doing what you did, and I'm keeping track of the games I've played this year.
It's so simple to do, and my best is going at the end of the year, going like, oh shit! Like
I think I've already played 6 games this year.
How?
Well, not finished.
You've started playing 6. Okay.
I finished Celeste this year. I finished this Frostpunk thing. I'm replaying Outer Wilds.
Good lord! So like these are games I want to stream. Okay, so I still want to play Cuphead, which I haven't played.
Fuck. Okay.
Super Meat Boy.
Oh god, okay.
Because a lot of people have said
these are
like
2 games I think you'll love.
You love Celeste, like have you not played Super Meat Boy? I want to replay Ori before the sequel comes out.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's like 6, 7.
I want to platinum Celeste.
Oh fuck, good luck on that.
So I'll definitely do that. I picked up Super Hot on Epic Games, and I've never played that.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I've also got.
I need to buy Super Hot on my Quest, and you need to play it because they're different.
It's different games.
Yeah, because they had to change all the scenarios for VR. But man, that game in VR is something else. It is so cool.
There's another game. I picked up a bunch of games actually. You know, Epic Games over December gave a game away for 12 days, and like 5 of those 12 games was like, holy shit, this is a game I actually really wanted to play. So there's a whole lot of those, and I haven't made a note of them yet, but I've got a bunch of those. I still want to play Gris or Gree.
I also want to play that. It's also on Game Pass now, so I think I'm going to grab that.
And Hellblade, which is one I've written down that I've just never got around to playing. And
I purchased it, so I just haven't gotten to it yet. Yeah, so I kind of want to do that as well.
I mean, that's my backlog, minus Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Ori sequel, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk. There's just too much.
Cannot wait for Doom. I'm so excited for Doom. I've played 2016 Doom, I think, like 3 or 4 times. Like, it is one of my favorite shooters ever.
That game really shocked me because when I watched the first trailer, and I think we even spoke about it. No, it couldn't have been. It was before the podcast. It might have been not in the podcast, but I think maybe back at Critical Hits, whatever. I remember saying, like, I thought the trailer was just way over the top violence, like
for the first one.
For the first trailer, I was like, it just seemed way too gory and like completely over the top, and I had no desire to play it. But then I picked it up on sale and I played. And I was like, this is real
fucking good. Yeah,
it is like a proper adrenaline rush of just. Yeah,
it was weird. It was my first E3. I was in the hall where they host the Oscars, watching Bethesda show off Doom guy ripping demons to shreds, and I was like, I'm fucking in. I'm so in for this game.
Goddamn! And I think that's the last question because some of the questions Mix has so like the one is about Final Fantasy VII Remake being released as part 1 of an unknown number. We actually
we did. We spoke about that. Yeah.
But I think that's all the questions. Cool. What is your drink of choice for the end of the year? Let's hop in your time machine. What did you drink last to see the decade out?
Monster Energy.
Chocolate.
And then I went to bed at 10 o'clock.
What? You had a Monster, you went to bed?
Whenever people like I have like a Monster, if I have a Monster, I try not to, but if I have a Monster like 4 in the afternoon, they're like, oh, you're not going to sleep. I'm like, bitch, please. Please.
So yesterday was Zelda, my mother-in-law's birthday. Okay.
Love her name.
So, yes, good name. So her and Lenska go to work early. So what we did is we got up early before they go to work to have tea and banana bread. Okay.
Ooh, I love banana bread.
I mean, not tea, sorry, coffee and banana bread. Ooh. Yeah, so Lenska made the night before, got up, I had a cup of coffee with my banana bread, and I went straight back to bed after. I slept like a baby.
That's fun. That sounds so good.
It's delicious.
Coffee.
Oh, man.
My mom made, the traditional Portuguese orange cake thing?
Your mom makes the traditional orange cake.
Dude, she found my grand's recipe and she makes it perfectly. But it's like, it comes out and it's like an airy, it almost feels like a very airy orange loaf.
You can't give that to me. I'll eat the whole thing.
I'm sad because we had it like 2 days ago.
No.
I'm sad I don't have more for you because it's...
You devoured it. You snorted it.
I mean, the one in Princess is fine. This one
How dare you?
No,
the one in Princess is delicious.
This one's miles better.
Okay, it's miles better. Fine. I'll take it.
I need you to come here and eat it because...
Bake me a cake.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's episode 83.
It's episode 83. If you want to message
questions.
us again, all on the socials at Checkpoint Chat, except for the email, which is checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. That's
The world's longest email address.
Podcast.
I actually want to send an email to Checkpoint Chat like, hey,
give us an email.
Give us an email.
Yeah. But that's episode 83. We've got a weird... So next week's episode is going to be one of those evergreen ones because I am away in Cape Town.
Alessandra's leaving us to play Celeste on his Switch in Cape Town.
And then I think it's the weekend after you're
I'm
away.
in Cape Town.
Yeah, so I'm away on the 25th and then you're away on the 31st. So we will have to skip one episode because like there's just no way we're recording another 2 today. So, but there will be one next week, and then
there won't be the 1 week.
Yeah, there'll probably not be. But just look out on Twitter and whatever will remind people. Maybe I'll record a solo episode, a half an hour, like, what's up?
What's up? It's your boy. I finished
your boy. Or maybe I'll call on the comic stylings of Turtleneck Gang member Glon. But we'll see. We'll keep shit updated. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
I love you. Bye.
We'll see you next week. Okay, bye.
Bye.